Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. My name is Eli. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the days in which we do live Q&As. And as always, you can answer, or I will answer any and all of your guys' questions. But before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. We also do Twitter giveaways. Make sure to give us a follow on that. But outside of that, two places you need to check out Patreon if we ever have tiers available for access to Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Flesh and Blood for a wholesale access if it's not sold out. Outside of that, Discord is the place to be to stay up to date on all things Pokemon USA related news. But jumping into it, let's give a couple shout outs as always to the people that are here so far. Daddy Zard, Michael Thiessen, J-Song, Trinell, Flower, City, Ripper, Ross, Swirly Glass, Tori, Eric, Jason, Average Player, Joker, and RD. Thank you guys all so much for being here so far. One thing I want to say before we jump into it as well, I am going to have to end things slightly earlier today, probably about half an hour early, so we're only going to go for an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. I just have a work appointment at 2 o'clock that's extremely important that I have to take care of. But I mean, still going to be here for an hour and a half of questions and conversation. So, good to see you, Ryan and Pika. Thank you guys all so much for coming and stopping by. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Is there anything eventful to have a conversation about? I mean, let's obviously just start it off with what we had our video on, which was the top 5 product. And if you were just now watching this and you did not watch the video, I highly recommend you go back and check it out. But the conversation behind what is going on with Pro Day, and for those of you that are wondering, how do you get this filter? I just went Pokemon cards. That's all I did. I looked up Pokemon cards and bam, opportunities. They became available to me. And I was like, which one do I like the most? That's the real question. Because holy crap, there is a ton of opportunities when looking at this, and it's so funny to see because you see 151 obviously is available currently, but it's also one of those things where it's not a part of the buy one get one for 50% and waiting for Black Friday. You know this is more than likely going to be back, but it's going to have 151 product alongside it. So, I mean, insane deals just all over this page that I feel like people need to take advantage of. Hopefully you guys get value out of it. One thing I also did find out, someone commented on it. So apparently Rakuten isn't available anymore with GameStop, which is so lame, but I can understand, I guess, why, because probably people were taking advantage of the Pokemon card stuff and they're like, yo, these guys are getting a ton of cash back. We're losing so much money. I made it. Nice. Just picked up my Slicer EX boxes with my $5 off. Let's go, baby. Leave early. I want a refund. I will refund you then, good sir. All $0 that you paid to enter. What's up, Zorar? Good to see you, brother. Question. Wave in hand. What's up, average player? Now that I work for Chloe, I have to go through S mode and S mode. I think is what that is. I know they can be a little different from states to Europe, but how do you keep up to date with the newsletter and stock? Okay, I don't know what Asmodee is. Am I dumb? Do I not know what Asmodee is? Oh, interesting. It's a board game? Oh, is this for like distribution? Hopefully if you could clarify that for a second, average player. I ordered 4 build-in battles and then added 45 physical gift cards to get free shipping, making it around 232 packs after tax. Dude, huge. It's the largest distributor for Pokemon. Okay, so I assume that's what you meant. How do you keep up to date with newsletter and stock? Well, see, that's a tough one, average player, if I'm being completely honest. because I don't know how they manage things behind the scenes. I know for me personally, however, how I always would manage it is by literally checking every single day. I would just go for the inventory stock and I would just kind of keep track and manage it. If you're like, wow, that's extremely difficult to do because I just don't have the time to do it, you could also always hire someone to scrape the page and have it update every so often. For you, like maybe twice a day is something you can do. And it creates a sheet of what's actively in stock. That's something we do ourselves for the Patreon program. And or you can have a rep that you are in relation with. I assume that's something that you guys do over in Europe, and that rep just basically calls you whenever they have product in stock because you have a good relationship with them. It's gotten to the point now, if I'm being completely honest, where I very rarely need to check the page thanks to Alfred. Shout out to him. And then also because my rep just calls me a lot of the times for things. So that's where I am. Thoughts on the current timing for PSA? I'm getting my first sub. I don't know when would be the best time to send in. Wondering if the $15 will go down. I mean, here's the deal. At the end of the day's work, here's what I think of it. Right now, we know it's at $15. And based on the current demand for what we know with PSA, we don't anticipate them to raising it anytime soon. So it feels as if there isn't really a negative for us to wait, right? And be patient if we do indeed feel like $15 is still a little expensive. Now, for me personally, at the $15 price point, I sent in cards that were of great value, in my personal opinion, we're sending in. And then the remaining amount of cards that I want to send in, but it's just not worth it at $15. It'll be more worth it when it's at $12 or $10. I've been patiently waiting. So it's not necessarily a bad time to send in cards. It's just what the price point is you're sending your cards in for. And by that, I mean like the value of the cards that you're sending in. What are your thoughts on holding the Pokemon Center PCETB for Obsidian Flames, and once released, their new Pokemon Center boxes will get stamped cards seen as a long-term hold? See, it's hard to say how the stamp promos will do, but based on the fact that it feels as if the PCETBs are straight up so short supply these days, it makes sense to me that it makes sense to me that they could do really well long-term. Do you know of a way to set up a way for monitoring the website and it doesn't have reps? Wow. Okay. Well, then monitoring the website, other than literally creating a bot to scrape the website, then it's just manually. And like, that's it. You have to get a bot. You have to make it so that the bot is able to log in, scrape the website for the list of products that it has available in stock, and then it automatically updates you however many times a day that you would like it to automatically update for you, and that way it just shoots it out. Obviously, if there's ever a product that comes in immediately, then you're gonna have to be like, that sells out immediately, you're gonna have to be on the ball with that, so that's a little bit difficult. Also as well with that, in terms of, you know, there not being a rep, that sucks. I mean, I don't know how they send out newsletters for you, but whenever my store ever has bundle deals, or my reps have bundle deals, they'll usually email us saying, hey, here's what's up to date. It's not a website. They give you a Google Sheets link, which is view only. Oh my god, that is the most ghetto thing I have ever heard. That is so funny. Literally, I do that. Like, and I'm not the largest supplier for product in all of Europe. I'm one of the larger suppliers of SIL product in, you know, in terms of retailers, but I mean for my account, but in all of Europe, and these guys are doing things on Google Sheets. So like, hey, I'm planning on getting out of the ghetto at some point. I want to leave the Google Sheets once I got the money to do so, but creating a website's expensive. But when you're this big and you're doing that, okay, dude, that's kind of tough, man. I mean, it's hard for me to say that because if you're telling me that, hey, they send me a Google Sheet, this is what's available. I assume it updates when it updates. There's not really much you can do. I mean, that's really difficult, man, because they run things drastically differently. I mean, you could still scrape the Google Sheet for whenever it makes updates, but that doesn't really matter because the sheet is already being sent to you. So I don't know. It's a hard one. Yeah, that's tough. Do you know what your Mew allocations are for the Ultra Premium collection? Yeah, we got about 500,000 of them, which wasn't a crazy amount, sadly. We were hoping to get closer to 800 to 1,000, but I mean, I guess I can't fully complain. We got more than most. Yeah, no worries, Warlord. But yeah, dude, you're kind of... I hate to say it, but that's... there's nothing I can work with here that I would usually say to work with, right? You don't have a rep. You don't even have a website. Like, if you wanted to invest $500 right now, what would you pick starting out? Well, I guess the question is, Warlord, am I picking to invest long-term? Am I picking to invest short-term? Am I picking to flip? Like, there's a lot of different things that I would play into when factoring what I'm going to invest in personally. Because at the end of the day, you know, I can tell you one thing's for certain. I would be taking advantage of GameStop. That's for sure, right? And depending upon what your answer is versus short-term versus long-term really is going to determine what I'm going to choose to pick up. Because, let's see if you've answered yet. And then I'll go from there. Eli going to get... No, not soon. Not soon. Definitely not soon. I would like to get a website at some point. But soon? No, sadly not. Sadly not soon. It's just going to be difficult, man. It's so tough. It's expensive. It is expensive, and we're just not there yet to be able to make it operate, and it's more of a luxury. That's funny. What is the 151 booster supply looking like? Terrible. It was our lowest allocated product. So I have to say definitely bummed out about that. I was hoping to get a little bit more, because you would think too, based on just the supply of ETBs I got, that they would at least make up for it in the bundle department, but no, they did not, which, you know, that more or less has me to believe that there's gonna be multiple waves of this product available. How's wedding planning going? Oh my gosh. Wedding planning is going how you'd expect it, kind of. My fiance is basically taking care of everything, and then every so often she asks me a serious question. I sarcastically answer and deflect because I don't like to make decisions that I know I'm not going to have any effect on the answer to. And then she pushes me on giving a definitive answer, and then I eventually do. That's how the conversations are going in terms of the wedding planning. We just got our registry done, which is nice at least. And she's like, I want to get... She's like, I want to get... oh my god, how am I forgetting what they're called? Like a... Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. There it is. She wanted to get a leaf blower. And I was like, we live in Arizona. What are we blowing off? And she's like, there's dead plants that I want off the rocky yard. And I'm like, what? I just want a leaf blower, okay? I'm like, okay. Leaf blower it is. The Crown Zenith playmat was in stock for GameStop this morning. Got lucky and got 4 deals. Is it out of stock? I know it's different for each person. It looks like it's in stock on my end. Shopify store is super easy to set up, but the thing is, Michael, it is, but not for what we're trying to do. It's extremely difficult because with the program, we have a lot of specific features that we need to have created that involves a lot of coding, and that's what would be the most difficult thing. I'm thinking about a long-term hold, honestly. I grabbed the PC ETBs and mentioned, okay, so for your $500 question, you're asking from a long-term hold perspective. So for me, just me personally, obviously, I really like the Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes. I think those are going to do really well long-term, just because I think specialty ETBs are just a really good item to hedge with in the long-term. I think that the Paldea Evolved Elite Trainer box, if that one's still available, I mean, I'd be stunned if it's still available, which is crazy to me. I would definitely go and take advantage of that. I think that's an incredible price. Once again, you're talking about below wholesale to be able to pick this up at. I would also say that I am a fan of, if it's still in stock, I don't think it's in stock. It looks like, I was going to say the premium figure collection. I'm not seeing the figure collection. I mean, it's not bad to pick up the pin collection. It's just more expensive, I guess, is the problem, because your average ends up being $12, which is like $4 a pack. You know, Morpeko Crown Zenith I would pick over that. So I would say Shining Fates ETB, Morpeko Crown Zenith, or the Zacian Zamazenta if that's available still, but I doubt it. And then the Paldea ETB are probably my three favorites at these price points if we're going off of the website. And even if we're not going off the website, I mean, unless you're picking up booster boxes of Lost Origin for dirt cheap and Silver Tempest, which they're still good plays, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's you best be believing my kind of general thought process is that it's going to skyrocket relatively shortly after we get our supply completely finished up on the market. But I mean, they're still holding strong. And if you remember what happened with Evolving, ladies and gentlemen, it went from $200 to $125 to $400. And Brilliant Stars, ladies and gentlemen, it went from 182 down to 138, and now it's going to lowest listed being sold 161, 161, 160, 154, 160, 160, 160. This is moving at 160, and this dropped down to 138. I mean, I could have sworn I saw it even lower than that, like 135. So it's back on the climb, and I don't expect it to slow down with things changing. Silver Tempest, Lost Origin, presumably speaking, probably going to be in the same exact boat, where you're going to see the decline of these items, and then they're going to just rebound like crazy, especially considering we saw the daily volume that Silver Tempest had when it dropped. Do you think Black Friday sales will be just as good as this BOGO sale, or is this a rare chance to get 151 UPCs at a very low price? Joseph, honest opinion, I think you're going to be able to get 151 way cheaper than what you're getting them for right now, because this is MSRP. You're going to get it for sure below MSRP. I'd be stunned if you couldn't. The booster bundles are the cheapest way to get packs, aka least profitable. You know, fair enough. Eli, remember, happy spouse, happy house. That is true. That is true. I mean, the biggest thing that, yeah, I won't get into it too much. I just need to remember things sometimes. I just get so overwhelmed with like work stuff all the time, and I constantly think about it that I just forget like simple things, and I just need to be better about remembering simple things like, hey, take out the trash. Hey, that's about it. That's the main thing. Use reverse psychology. Shut up. We're not manipulating my fiance. Damn, you would think that booster bundles would be those products they would print the most of. Well, I mean, like Average Player was saying that, aka the least profitable. So I guess it makes. I mean, but they're charging whatever they want to charge. So I don't know. It's weird. Trainer toolkits ain't bad either. Well, trainer toolkits are really good, Sergio. I love the trainer toolkit as a pickup. But we're talking about obviously from a long-term investment. I don't see that as a long-term investment because it's going to perform poorly because the bulk is going to rotate out of the, and the idea would be to break it down in the short term. Rev did Etsy mystery box and didn't select mine. Super pissed. I know, what a dick, dude. What the heck? Does your wedding registry include Pokemon product? It does not, sadly. My wedding registry does not include Pokemon product. That's so funny, though. I think it includes, like, a couple of household items, like better, pots and pans, and, certain things we can use for cooking, and then just helping pay for some of the activities because weddings are expensive. Weddings are expensive. And we try cutting back a ton and it's still way over budget and it's just frustrating. At least she wants a leaf blower instead of some useless decor. Oh, don't you worry, Pika. There's gonna be some useless decor. But it's not necessarily useless. It's like holiday stuff, right? Do you recall the percentage allocations you got for booster bundles? Curious if people will get a case of less. Artie, you can't go off of, I will say, you can't go off of percentage. I know everyone always wants to go off of percentage, but you have to go off of numbers. And for me particularly, I go actually even less off numbers, and I go more off of where I am compared to other accounts. Now, I know some locations won't give you that information, right? So, yeah, unless you're a distributor or unless you have a close connection with your rep. But like for me, I can usually best tell like, hey, based on my numbers and people that are ranked higher in spend or lower in spend than me, where did I stack up, right? And a lot of the times my reps will either tell me, hey, you only had X amount of people above you or X amount of people below you, or they'll just say, hey, you got allocated more than most, or you got allocated less than most because of X, because of Y, like et cetera, right? Like that's usually what I will tend to hear. And so that's what I go off of. But you can't go off of percentage, right? Because if I said, I'm going to order 1 million Elite Trainer boxes of 151. Holy crap, I only got 700. Bro, I got 2% of my allocation. You know what I mean? Like, or less than 1%, obviously, 0.7%. So it's like, okay, well, obviously I ordered so much, an absurd amount, but that's not what matters. How much did I get previously? How has this changed? How are the people around me getting allocated? Stuff like that. Do you already answered that question. Trinell, get out of here. You're all over here with the reverse psychology. Playing tricks. But yeah, I think Black Friday sales are going to be insane. I think they're going to be so good. Like, I am a firm believer that the Black Friday deals, they're going to be really good. They're going to be really good. I mean, obviously this is speculative, but just based on the fact that a lot of product is sitting on shelves, I mean, it's going to be a good opportunity. Or at least I believe so. Which I'm excited for, man. I am greatly excited for that opportunity to take advantage of it. But if you also want to take a look at the market today, we'll just have a conversation about what's going on. Anyone been watching Evolving Skies prices? Listing without photos, Eli. They've started to climb again. I don't know how, what's the word I'm looking for, reliable this is. Because the supply just listed is down to 2 pages now. But guys, booster boxes are about to push 500. And you might say, well, Eli, they're at 460. They're not about to push it. That's still $40 away. But when Evolving Skies gets moving, it gets moving. And it's moving. Which it's nice to see because for me personally, I'm sitting on a lot of loose packs of Evolving. So hopefully that means I'll be able to kind of burn and churn the general volume. I mean, look at this too. Recent sales for this yesterday. Looks like some people have been going on a buying spree with some of the loose packs. Quite interesting. Chat test. My chat disappeared. You're there, Pika. I can see your chats. What's up, AK Cam? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, Evolving Skies is back on the move, ladies and gentlemen. Things are just continuing to pump with this. Paldea Evolve, slightly going down. Obsidian Flames staying the same. Scarlet and Violet also slowly going down. So that's a fun one to watch. Evolution's going up. Astral Radiance going sideways. Chilling Infusion going slightly up. Mostly sideways, but I mean, it's funny because you just hear everyone in the market always talking about how this is it, Pokemon, this is the end, blah, 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 blah. And I think that Rudy made a really good video yesterday, which this is one of his Pokemon videos, I think. See, it's so funny. It's very interesting for me. I'm very hot and cold when it comes to his content. I'm a fan of Rudy overall, and I want people to understand that. But some of his videos, I'm like, I disagree with this. And some of his videos, I'm like, I think this is a great video. In the context of Pokemon. Usually it has to do with him trying to call things, because in the past he's like, I'm calling it, this is it. Reprints are not happening anymore, and then he was wrong, right? Like, he's done that a couple of times, and then he's like, could this ever happen, right? But when it comes to the context of like the bread and butter of like doubling down on investments and stuff, I love those videos. I think those are the best videos he makes when it comes to Pokemon, because he gives, I think, a lot of clarity to how the market is feeling and how he's going to take advantage of it. So if you haven't watched Rudy's most recent video, I highly recommend you do, because he more or less talked about the overall opportunities in Scarlet and Violet and how he's looking to take a position and pick up a bunch of Scarlet and Violet boosters at a discounted price. And more or less with that, he just is like, yeah, I want to take advantage of everyone else's hate for the market, and I'm going to get in for dirt cheap because I know it's not going to matter. Because people thought I was crazy when I said I'm going to take a large position in Chilling Reign and Battle Styles and Fusion at, $65, I think is what he said he was able to get in for, because he just bought, or no, $75, if I'm correct, I think was his large position. I could be wrong, $75. But, and he's like, people thought I was crazy. And now here we are with Chilling Reign 145, Fusion Strike 150, and Battle Styles is probably at 120-ish if I were to guess. Battle Styles still performing the worst. No. Battle Styles at one. How does that make sense? That's crazy. This is free shipping. Why is this showing lower? Oh, I should probably do price split shipping. 110. 110 is the lowest. So yeah, Battle Styles still performing the worst, but I mean, at the price point you got it in, it's still good. Back in action, baby. Do you think the popularity of Japan is watering down US releases, taking into account constant social media spoilers and breaks that lead to set fatigue like 151? Well, it's quite interesting, Hermit. Because there's a couple of thought processes behind that. There's first and foremost, which is Pokemon Japan has been off their game when it comes to announcements. Typically speaking, Pokemon Japan will usually give like a heads up a week in advance on what new cards are going to be, sometimes even earlier for the next upcoming set. But Obsidian Flames, they gave 1 day advance notice of what the ultra rares were going to be. That's so small time frame wise, right? So I would say they've been off their game on that. And then second, when you ask the question, do you think it waters down the release? I don't think so. I think that it usually just leads up to the hype, and it's one of those things that people look at what's going on in Japan, they realize it's going to come to America, and they just get hyped about it, or the opposite, where they just don't get hyped about it. At the end of the day, the only thing we can truly say is that the Japanese market is one that is completely and utterly, I mean, this might sound like a hot take to say, but I think there's a lot of manipulation going on in the Japanese market. Because I understand the craze for waifus, that I totally makes sense to me. Like, trust me, I get it. But, and maybe manipulation is the right word. Maybe it's lack of information. But just prices for what is MSRP are so skewed because people are going off of what the prices are in the US, and they're willing to pay these premium prices because they think, oh, it's not coming from the US, it's coming from Japan, which is cool, and I can get it for the same price as a booster back home here for cheaper. And in reality, the prices, typically speaking, were much cheaper already from the get-go compared to how they are in the US. And it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things where I just look at the market and how that's performing, and I'm like, there's something off. I feel like there's something off. I mean, it was kind of like, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but one of the like reporters for Pokemon Drama, I can't remember what his channel's called, but he was doing a video talking about 151 and the Pokeball stamp cards. And I mean, some of these cards were selling for $1,000+ for the Poke stamps. And I understand like the scarcity of it all, but that's still insane. Like, that is so insane to me that some of these cards were going for that much. Like, it just felt dumb that they were going for that much. I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can find it. I want to see if I can find the video. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I always forget this guy's name every single freaking time. But yeah, the prices for that was so dumb. Thank you, Opossum Bud. Yeah, like, I'm not saying that like there isn't the hype for Japanese product and some of the demand isn't naturally authentic. I'm just saying that a lot of it comes from lack of information, and or I mean, just some of it is, it just feels overplayed. Oh, that's weird that chat reset. I said before, Rudy, Sword and Shield will go down as top 3 generations all time. One thing I thought was interesting, though, that he did say was in his videos, like, you don't hear people talking about Sun and Moon being a better set than Sword and Shield. I never hear that. Well, I don't know about that, my guy. I think Sun and Moon is a much better era than Sword and Shield. I think Sword and Shield is an incredible... I shouldn't say much better. They're really close. But I would say that Sun and Moon is a fantastic era. I would definitely say top 3, Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon are in there. What that third era would be is... I don't know what the third era would be. Obviously Scarlet and Violet. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a conversation between Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield. I know some people are going to think, whoa, Eli, you like the Sun and Moon era more than Sword and Shield? How dare you? But it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like the thing that I like about the Sun and Moon era is it's like there's a lot of innovation that came from it with alternate art designs starting with Sun and Moon era and the gorgeous art designs that are within it. And then also Hidden Fates, which is one of the best sets of all time, is inside that set, which I absolutely love. And if I'm being completely honest, this is just my personal opinion, you can hate on me if you want, I think the alternate art sets themselves outside of Evolving Skies on average are much stronger in the Sun and Moon era. I mean, when you talk about team up, Cosmic Eclipse, Unified Minds, Unbroken Bonds. Those are 4 solid sets that I would say, if you compare it to any of the other alternate art booster box sets, other than Evolving Skies, I think they hold up way stronger. And they just are way better looking sets, even without the trainer gallery. But that's just my opinion, right? I could be getting a lot of hate for that, but... I mean, from a performance perspective, it's going to perform extremely well for that reason. I agree, Pika Pika. I should open these V-Striker tins. You best be believing I did. Look at Japanese Chilling Rain. It's over $100. Even Dark Phantasma is over $100. Yeah, I know. It's performing ridiculously well. Quality of Japanese sets are a million times better, though. But quality means nothing, though. Like, if we're being 100% honest, like, I shouldn't say it means nothing. It doesn't... I don't put in as much stock in quality as you may think. Like, if anything, there's an argument to be made that worse quality could... no, that's not true. Let me think. I gotta think about this statement, because quality matters, but I think that people put too much stock in the general quality of cards. And what I guess I'm referencing when I say quality of cards, I mean like whitening, centering, surface, right? Obviously, you want better card quality. That's important. It's good for a card. The standard, Japan holds the standard. I agree with you. It is better, right? But I guess from when I look at it for the perspective of, are people saying, I want Japanese cards because the centering on the cards are better, because there's less whitening on the cards, because there's no, there's less print lines on the cards. I don't think people are going into buying Japanese and saying these are some of the factors that they're taking into account. Now, can they say they like the artistic style more with the backs? They like that it's in the language that is outside of English, and to them it feels foreign and it feels exciting. Is there a composition that comes with this and the fact that it's hard to get and it feels like there's a level of scarcity there that is more psychological than anything? That's kind of where I look at it, but that's just generally my opinion on it. Except for Jungle, Fossil, and Base, I'd say Sun and Moon is one of the worst eras. How is Sun and Moon one of the worst eras? Sun and Moon is one of the best eras. It's top 3, not even close. I mean, they're so good. I mean, there's no denying. I agree with Josh on that one. I mean, there's no denying that the quality is drastically better than English, and Japanese is fun to open. I guess the point that I'm making is when you've got ultra modern cards going on auction for crazy amounts, whether it's a waifu or not, like $70,000+, or you've got Pokeball reverse holo foils that for a new set going for $500 to $1,000 a piece, I'm going to question that, and it's hard for me not to. Like I said, I understand the demand on a surface level for Japan, but that doesn't change the fact that some of it seems ridiculous to me. Like, we're not talking about like the One Ring type scarcity, right? We're talking about products that are in ample supply that are being charged ridiculously higher than anything close to what English sets are. And that's the thing that I guess is extremely difficult for me. Like for alternate arts in Evolving Skies, that makes sense to me, especially for Japan, because they were a lot harder to pull the VMAXs. Totally makes sense to me, right? Totally makes sense. My radar just went off with the stamps in particular, and I just felt like there's something going on here. Sword and Shield was very good for your Gen 4. Dude, I would say that from me personally, I feel like it massacred Gen 4, and it's so infuriating. They couldn't have done a worse job as a Gen 4 fan. And I've bitched about this before. Okay, when I think of like the Sword and Shield era and what they did for Gen 4, what was the main thing I think too? Okay, brilliant, right? What did they have? They had the Arceus card, which was cool. I enjoyed the Arceus card. They had Luminion, which was a good card, and they had the Honchkrow, which honestly, not really the biggest fan. Okay, cool. 3 really cool alternate arts. Astral Radiance. They took some of my favorite Pokemon, Dialga and Palkia, and they absolutely butchered the overall look of the Pokemon. Absolutely massacred. I think they look super duper dumb. I hate it. The card design, I think, for the alternate arts is cool, but the overall look of the Pokemon and what they did to it, and now maybe that's less of a card thing and it's more of a Pokemon game thing, but that still doesn't change, right? Butchered it into the ground. And on top of that, you make the mascot logo Darkrai, but then you don't put an alternate art Darkrai within the set. That feels like blasphemy to me, right? Then we move on and we go into Lost Origin. And Lost Origin, obviously, you know, the Giratina, it's a cool card, it's performing well. If I'm being honest, not the biggest fan of the overall look of the alternate art, but you know, it's still cool. We got an alternate art Giratina, hip hip hooray for Gen 4 fans, right? Like that's cool and all. But that's kind of really it in terms of desirable Gen 4 things that people care about most. Sure, we got a Darkrai alternate art in near the back end, but it felt very lackluster compared to the fact that within Astral as a set, it should have been included as a V variation. They should have had the V variation within it, right? Like, and they never had it. They missed out on all the starters. We're talking not a single starter got any sort of special art design for Gen 4. And I understand, like, it's supposed to be, you know, more towards the game Arceus than it is within the Gen 4 remakes, but I would have at least loved to see some art designs for the starters. It would have been really cool if we got something like that. Then, in terms of some of the other Pokemon that were, you know, well known, the evolutions of, you know, Rhyperior, Electivire, Magmortar, Gliscor, a lot of these Pokemon didn't really get anything special. We did at least get a Garchomp and Cynthia card in Astral. That is really cool. I'm very happy for that. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't something that felt innovative in the same way, because the fact of the matter is, how often do we get Cynthia cards with a Garchomp in the picture, or a Garchomp card with Cynthia in the picture? Like, it's happened often, right? And it was more or less fan service that I'm happy it happened, but it didn't feel like anything special. And so for me, there was just a lot that I felt like they just didn't really add on to. I mean, just going off of just the Generation 4 Pokédex, right? Because we're talking Gen 4. None of the starters, none of this got any love. No love, no love, no love, no love. Honchkrow got love. No love, no love. Oh, Skuntank got love. I know, everyone, fan favorite Skuntank. Everyone's a huge fan of Skuntank. I know you guys all are. Everyone loves Skuntank. When everyone heard, what are we getting an alternate for? Skuntank? Oh, brilliant. Like, none of these Pokemon got love. Other than Arceus, Giratina, Luminion. I mean, it's just I don't know. It felt like it just felt like there was a lot left to be desired. But I don't know, maybe I'm just being too hypercritical. The Manaphy was cool, I will say about that. But see, I didn't really care about the legendary golds, though. Like I said before, man, maybe, like I said, maybe this is a hot take. But if I'm being completely honest, I hate the new designs. I absolutely hate with the burning passion the new designs for the forms. Origin form, Palkia and Dialga, looks terrible. Giratina and Arceus, gorgeous looking cards. I loved the cards. I loved it, right? But I mean, there's just more they could have done. Sun and Moon is cartoonish, and I love it. I enjoy Japanese more because of quality and the texture of the cards. I agree it's lack of info. I think the seller and the third-party apps are taking advantage. XY over Sun and Moon, I think that's a hot take. Crown Zenith redeemed Gen 4? Yeah, definitely not. I mean, we did get a Glaceon and a Leafeon on alternate art multiple times. I will say we did get that. We did get that. I will admit to that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just more salty about the fact that none of the starters have gotten any love. We haven't got really any final evolutionary love for these cards. I mean, like, Roserade got love for character rares, and I understand that people are going to be like, well, Eli, the character rares, the character rares. I care more about the alternate arts, I guess, for me. Like, we never got really any love for alternate art designs outside of the legendaries. And a couple of Pokemon that people didn't really give a crap about. Like, I'm a Honchkrow fan, but a lot of people don't care about Honchkrow. No one really cares about Skuntank. Maybe people do, and I'm upsetting Skuntank fans. I think some Sun and Moon sets are better than Sword and Shield and vice versa, so can't generalize per set. Yes, you can't really generalize to a certain extent, but you can. I mean, it's almost like we forget about the first half of, like, I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong, Sun and Moon series had terrible sets, right? Detective Pikachu, we don't really count that because it's more or less like a specialty set, right? Crimson Invasion, Burning Shadows, Guardians Rising, Sun and Moon Base. Like, some terrible sets, right? That no one really cared about. I get it. But I guess for me, when I compare the sets of, like, base set Sun and Moon, and I compare it to base sets, I look at these two sets and I say, and this is me, right? This is just me. And I say to myself, well, at least it has evolutions. It has an Espeon. It has an Umbreon, which I think is cool. Other set had Snorlax. Other set had Lapras, which some people probably care more about the evolutions, right? The other set had Marnie. This set had Lily. Like, you know, it's a pick of the litter on what you like more. And to be fair, I guess I liked it more. Because I'm not a Gen 1 diehard fan in the same way as other people are. But this set also had a Lapras as well. Had a couple other Pokemon no one gave a crap about. Sorry to you Tauros fans. And then if we look at the secondary set, Guardians Rising, right, compared to Rebel Clash. All right, well, we take a look at this set and we say, what about the cards here? You know, it really was the Sylveon and the Mallow. It was kind of it, right? I guess Metagross is a cool one but people, I like Metagross, but people are not as big fans as Metagross, I think, as I am, but maybe I'm wrong. Um, I don't know. I guess for me, when I just look at 151 or not 151 Sun and Moon, and I just compare the sets by sets between Darkness Ablaze and Burning Shadows, what do I like more? Hate them both. Burning Shadows I think is better. What do I like more? Shining Legends or Shining Fates? Shining Legends. What do I like more in terms of other specialty sets? Champion's Path or Dragon Majesty? Not even close. Dragon Majesty. Which set do I like more of the other sets? Vivid Voltage, Rebel Clash, Sword and Shield Base, Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, all these sets, right? Obviously, once you start getting into the Battle Styles and past the older sets, before we get into Team Up, can't compete, no question about it. But I guess the thing is, in my mind, is quantity over quality. Because sure, there's more alternate art sets in the Sword and Shield era, but I think there's also some lackluster alternate art sets. Me personally, right? I think we can all agree Silver Tempest, very lackluster alternate art set, even if it's going to perform well long term. I think that obviously Battle Styles is one people are not a big fan of. This is just my opinion. Astral Radiance is one alternate art wise that can feel a little lackluster, but maybe that's just because I'm not a fan of, once again, the Gen 4 designs. I don't know. People are going to be, what do you mean though? The character rares, right? And character rares are cool, but I don't know. It feels like character rares are one of those things that they're really cool, but they feel overplayed. And there's just so many of them. It just feels like we're just continuing to add to the bloat. And it's not one of those things that feels special. It would have felt special to me if they just added them in a couple of sets, and then we're like, all right, we'll do it from time to time, special sets. But now it's like a thing where we add them in every single set, including Scarlet and Violet. And that can be cool and all, but I don't know. Holy crap, they gave an Empoleon alternate art from Battle Styles. Wow, what an idiot. I can't believe I forgot that. That is a good one. Thank you for calling me out on my BS on that. Dude, that Empoleon alt art was sick. Okay, they did do the Empoleon alt art. That is fair. That is fair. I will say they did the Empoleon alt art. Empoleon fans are like pissed because they're like, what did you just say? I'm over here, me and my Torterra, like, yo, where's my Torterra love? I want more Torterra. People are like, Empoleon is still a starter. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. We did have an Empoleon. I forgot about that. Empoleon was nice. Average player's just trying to be rude now, saying Gen 4's mid. I guess we got rode on. Yeah. Just paper. XY is the best generation made. I would stay to argue, but I have to get after work. I can't tell if you're trolling at some point. But that wasn't the question, average player. The question was, is there enough love for Gen 4? Oh, Raheem's coming in. My boy, Raheem coming in with the backup. He's coming in with the backup for the Gen 4 love. I mean, I would definitely agree. There is probably more love for Gen 4 than there is Pokemon from Gen 6 and probably 7 combined. No one cares about those generations. Are there some cool Pokemon within them generations? Of course. Greninja, Decidueye, super cool Pokemon, right? But Gen 4, I would argue that Gen 5 and below is like the golden ages of Pokemon. Like Gen 1 through 5, I would say fantastic. Once you get into the XY era, I think general Pokemon love goes down drastically. Now, whether that be because of you know, the 3DS graphics changing the way in which a lot of these Pokemon look because they're less sketch designed and they're more 3D designed, and it made them look a lot crappier artwork wise. But, you know. But yeah. I don't know. The Empoleon, I forgot. I messed up. I apologize. The Empoleon, right? But that still doesn't change just, where's my Torterra love? Where's my Infernape love? Where's my Roserade love? I understand. They had a Roserade character rare. I don't care. I don't. Luxray, Rampardos, Bastiodon. Don't really care. I'm sorry. I feel like they butchered the Honchkrow alternate art, but that's just me. I would have loved to have seen a full-on Garchomp alternate art. Would have been cool, even with the Cynthia in the background for the character. I don't know. Maybe it's just, and this is just me. Maybe it's just me, but I think I have something against character rares. I think that's honestly it. Maybe I just have my own bias towards character rares. I just need to get called out on it. I think for me, it's just because I have such a I have just such an appreciation for alternate arts. It just feels like character rares are something different. You know? But that's just me, man. I just like the alternate art designs more than the character rares. And people are going to say, oh, you know, maybe it's because you only care because the cards are worth more. Well, I just think it's for me because it comes down really, and this might sound weird, it comes down to the borders for me. I'm not a big fan of the yellow borders. I like that with these alternate arts that they're borderless, and it just, and the texturing of it all and the play on how it looks. That's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm weird. I mean, this is all opinion based, ladies and gentlemen. This is not all fact, obviously. We're all having our own belief of what we'd like more than other. From a psychological point of view, what's your opinion on 151 UPC somehow making it to the market months before release? There's already negative connotation in the community. I mean, this is not something new, Hermit. I mean, we've seen many a times where product has gotten early to the market. It's nothing new, just Pokemon once again with their quality control and things not being as nice as we'd like it to be. So I don't know. I'm not really too worried about it. I don't think it's going to play that big of an impact as per usual. However, it is quite interesting to see that people once again are getting access to things so much earlier than, you know, anticipated. And it's frustrating to see it get onto the market and people charging ridiculous prices for it, but I don't think it's really going to change much. No news on it so far, Michael. Full Art Trainers made all the Sun and Moon... Sorry about that. The Full Art Trainers made all the Sun and Moon sets. Good for me. I think most of them look better than the ones we got in the Sword and Shield era. Wish we could have gotten a Gold Blastoise. Blastoise with the crown, right? I agree, John Lee. We should have definitely, we should have definitely had alternate arts for those cards. What's up, Agent and Crypto? Good to see you, brother. Kind of, but I don't know if I really consider Lucario promo be an alt art. It is, but it isn't. Isn't Fate still undervalued? I would argue. I like art rares becoming a norm. I agree that the art designs are definitely peak right now, for sure. I don't know, maybe there's an argument to be said that character rares are a good thing, because you want the alternate arts to not be oversaturated with a bunch of crappy alternate arts. I guess for me, I just look at a lot of the alternate art picks in the back end of Sword and Shield, and it just feels infuriating. Like, ridiculously infuriated. Like, this might be a hot take. You take character rares out of the mix, Fusion Strike and Chilling Reign destroy second half Sword and Shield alternate art era. Not even close in my opinion. Because you've got Espeon, Gengar, Celebi, Mew. That's strong. Those are some strong alternate arts, right? Versus we go Silver Tempest, and we go look at Silver Tempest, and we say, what do we have? Lugia, Regidrago, Skuntank, Unknown. Like, come on, guys. Like, who cares? And then we go to Lost Origin. You've got Giratina. Listen, I'm a huge fan of the Aerodactyl design because I think it's a gorgeous design. But if you're not a fan, then who cares? Right? And then Rotom and Berserker. Moving on to the next set after that. Do we need to revisit Astral Radiance? I don't think we do. Should have had a Darkrai. And then Brilliant Stars. Another Charizard. Arceus. Arguably the strongest when it comes to the alternate arts in the set. And then Lumineon Honchkrow. Versus you go and you look at a set like Fusion and you've got really strong characters with amazing art designs, Evolving Skies. Why people liked Evolving Skies? Strong characters, amazing art designs. Going to Chilling Reign. What does Chilling Reign also have? Amazing art designs, strong characters. I mean, Blaziken, gorgeous. Galarian, Moltres, gorgeous. And I mean, you've got cards that people are not necessarily fond of in this, new generation with the Galarian forms, and outside of the Galarian forms, just the new legendaries, but yet they somehow made it feel, just because of the art, like it was amazing. Like there was just so much to love within the set, but I don't know. Eli biased against character rares and leaf blowers. Gen 2 doesn't get enough hate. The only couple standout Pokemon for that generation are the Eevees and Legendaries. It's so funny. I mean, honestly, that's not a hot take, Raheem. I don't think that's a hot take. I love Gen 2 because there's a lot of amazing Pokemon in Gen 2, but I think it's not one of those things where, I mean, because Gen 2, I think, okay, let me backtrack. I don't think it's a garbage like Raheem is saying. That, I think, is a hot take. But I don't think it's a hot take to say that it's a little bit overhyped, because if you really look at what was introduced in Gen 2, it was not a lot of Pokemon. Gen 2 was very small. And at the time, it felt very underwhelming because of a lot of Pokemon not getting their new final evolutions later, which is what I liked about Gen 2 compared to 4. Gen 4 just felt satisfying. So, obviously, the starters, incredible, right? The regular, Pokemon you find on the general routes, no one cares. Crobat was an amazing addition. People don't really care about Lantern. Pichu was a great addition. The babies were a great addition. Togepi, Togetic, Ampharos, Blossom, right? Politoed. But I think that when you look at this generation, and I mean, come on, we had Tyranitar. That's also a sick one. But I feel like one thing I will say, when you look at this generation compared to 4, this was more or less the generation of babies, and Gen 4 was the generation of the final evolution line. And I feel like that's why it's more satisfying, right? because you had Magby, Elekid pre-evolutions, which then led into Magmortar and Electivire, which I love the art designs for those. Porygon 2 into Porygon Z, right? You had Piloswine into Mamoswine. You had Sneasel into Weavile. You had Gligar into Gliscor. You had Misdreavus into Mismagius, into Murkrow, into Honchkrow. Like, you had Togetic into Togekiss. There's just a lot of these pre-evolution Pokemon that were like finishing off with their third evolution, and that was introduced in Gen 4, and it just felt satisfying when comparing the two. That's what I think I like more than Gen 4 compared to Gen 2, but I mean, I can definitely say that, I mean, Yanma and Yanmega. Gen 2's good, but I feel like Gen 2 is one of those sets, or one of those eras that's set up for Gen 4 to be good because of final evolution lines. Like, it set up the baby evolutions, like the pre-evolutions, so that we could get the final evolutions. Michael, that's funny. I have 2 Moonbreons, sending them into PSA, look identical in quality. Should I send them in together or separate? I mean, with Ultra Modern, it's hard to say to not send them in together. But yeah, like I said, Gen 1 through 5, definitely the golden era. I would say that for me personally, I would say Pokemon art design, I would say, and this is just my opinion, obviously, it's not fact, Gen 5 and Gen 2 are definitely the weakest of the designs. But at the same exact time, specifically, Gen 2 had phenomenal art designs too. There's a lot, I mean, Espeon, Umbreon, the legendaries, the starters were incredible, right? Like, Tyranitar, like, there's a lot. Blissey, a lot of amazing ones. But like I said, I think the reason why I like Gen 4 more is just because it set things up for the final evolution lines. There was a reason they also put Kanto in the game. Okay, now that... I just tried checking out your ad in the screen. What? That's fair, Squid. It definitely is more of an add-on generation. That's kind of what Gen 2 feels like, with a lot of amazing additions. It's definitely one of those, yeah, for sure. I mean, why can't Pika, we have small sets that are also hard to pull? Why does it have to be big sets hard to pull? Hey, thanks for stopping by, Jason. You know? Like, I don't know. I'm curious, how is Paldea Evolve performing right now in terms of the singles? Probably just absolutely getting shellacked. Gen 2 was the DLC before the DLC. That's honestly a good take. I like that. Magikarp's tanked. Chien-Pao's taking a dip. Okay, here's the deal, Squid. I don't want them to touch Gen 5 based on what they did to Gen 4. I am so nervous. I am so nervous with Gen 5 remakes because holy crap, Gen 4 remakes was a disaster. I mean, as long as it's legit slip, I definitely would say put on a credit card. If it's usually too good to be true, though, probably is. I would say, honestly, though, arguably, out of all the generations between 1 and 5, I know Gen 1ers are going to be like, oh, Gen 1. Gen 1's the best. It's Gen 1, right? But I would say unanimously, unless you're a diehard Gen 1 fan, Gen 3 is the best. By far. I love Gen 4. That's what I grew up with. Technically speaking, I actually grew up with Gen 3 as well. Gen 3 was my first generation, right? But I am more of a diehard Gen 4 fan. But objectively, I would say that Gen 3 was incredible. Maybe it's just me. I mean, by far, some of the strongest starters. So many good pseudo legendaries added. So many good legendaries added. The Underground was amazing. I mean, Gen 5. I mean, I love Gen 5. I don't want them to butcher it. I just get nervous, man. Don't butcher it. Just don't butcher it, man. Dude, I love so many of these Pokemon. Man. Obviously, a lot of these are Gen 1, and I don't think there's really any Gen 2. Oh, there's a couple Gen 2. Crobat's Gen 1, though. If I'm correct. Have I started collecting again? No, I mean, so I would say that I did. I mean, here's the deal. I'm always proactively collecting, but it just comes and goes in waves based on whatever opportunities present themselves when I am in a financial situation for it to be viable. Okay, Crobat's Gen 2. Thank you. I was like, I don't think Crobat was Gen 1. I was like, I feel like Golbat was the final evolution for Gen 1. I was like, Crobat feels like it was an addition to Gen 2. I mean, even going with, and maybe this is just me, even going with the original route Pokemon, I think the original route Pokemon were stronger. Like, I don't know about you guys. I think the designs for Beautyfly, Dustox, Ludicolo, Shiftry, Swellow, Pelipper, like, I think these are all iconic route Pokemon. Like, that's what makes it so strong. Like just like it's not just, oh look, there's really cool new Pokemon like Aggron, like Wailord, like Flygon, like Altaria, like Salamence, like Absol. I mean, I keep going on. Like Metagross, like all the legendaries. Like there's a lot you can go with in terms of just general cool new Pokemon added in pseudo legendaries. But I mean, when you really get down to what also made this great is the route Pokemon were so good. Like I loved the route Pokemon. Like maybe it's just me, but Shiftry was one of my favorite Pokemon I always wanted to get on my team. I love Shiftry. I loved looking for Ralts. Ralts was one of my favorite ones to be able to find. Breloom. I loved getting Brelooms. I loved getting Slaykings. Like, I loved getting Mightyenas. I mean, it would change. It would change from time to time, right? It honestly would change from time to time, but the route Pokemon were so strong. Versus, like, Gen 2, didn't really care for Sentret, right? Didn't really care for Ledaba. I mean, maybe some people like Spinarch and Ariados more than me, but I didn't really care for it, right? And Hoodoo to Noctowl. Noctowl's kind of cool, but I don't know. It just wasn't my Pokemon for me. But Hoppip, Skiploom, Jumpluff, once again route Pokemon. Sunkern, once again route Pokemon. Wooper was good. Wooper and Quagsire were good, but it's like there's a lot of route Pokemon that I felt like were just stronger in Gen 3 than 2. Okay, how about if two sets have the same cards, would you prefer the easier pulls, less rarity, or obviously higher pulls? Well, I don't know if it's obvious, but I would say higher pulls. If it just feels better. Double kick was a broken record. What's up, Charles? Good to see you, brother. They don't make them like they used to anymore. I agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I said I was going to end it half an hour early, so I'm going to start wrapping up here. We got a couple minutes left. As always, make sure to leave a like, smash the like button on the video, ladies and gentlemen. It helps out the algorithm greatly. And then also comment and subscribe to enter into weekly giveaways. Well, I think that's what makes it difficult, though, Navi, because it's not comparable. Like, is the game arguably better for Gen 2 because there was more content? I would disagree. It felt more bloated. Like, don't get me wrong, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, when in the context of remakes, or if we're talking the originals, right? If you're like a Crystal fan, they were great. They were great games. I enjoyed them. There was a lot to do, and you could keep going on. But I would say it was one of those things where just because you combine two games doesn't mean it's better. It's like saying, what if they did a remake for Gen 5, but they added Gen 4? Broken, right? No, you have to be able to look at just the generation that came. And that was Gen 2 and the gameplay within Gen 2 itself. When you are not in, the Kanto region. I don't know. But maybe that's just me. Because I think it's unfair because, it's just something that no other game has really done before. Like, sure, you can, open up after you've completed certain, national dexes within your generation, open up to certain areas to go elsewhere. Like how do I want to say this? Like Gen 4 Platinum, the after gameplay, phenomenal. So good. I loved the addition to the battle areas that you could go explore in Platinum. It was so fun. And what was even more fun too was like I really obviously like we like to grind our Pokemon, and it felt like it was one of those things where when it came to Gen 4, specifically in Platinum, you could go rebattle over and over and over again any of the gym leaders that you wanted to over in the Battle Cafe. And I loved it. And I loved that as an aspect. I love the new areas you could explore. And so like the afterplay is what I care about a ton more in bringing a fresh perspective rather than just saying, let's throw in another game and say it's after the fact, you know? It wasn't fresh content. I mean, honestly, Squid, the biggest thing that just pisses me off is that with the Gen 4 remakes, they didn't at least add any of the additional value that Platinum brought to the table. That's what pisses me off the most about the remakes. There's so many good things that Platinum brought, and they just got rid of it. Also, another thing I hate about it too is the fact of the matter that they made it so your Pokemon have almost like sturdy built into them because they held on because they care about you. Like, what the frick is that stupid stuff? But this was a new gen and added Gen 1. You can't do that with remakes when the original had it. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, I still don't think that changes from the argument, which is it added to original content. And that's, I mean, that's the problem, right? Is that sure? Oh, arguably the first game already had both generations in it, therefore, you know, there's more content. But it's like, okay, well, that doesn't change the fact of the matter that it wasn't new content that was being added. Like the example we gave, Gen 2 is more of a DLC, is what it feels like. Fake out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where I'm going to end it here. I want to thank you guys all so much once again for stopping by. As always, make sure to join the Discord to stay up to date on all things Pokemon USA. Patreon's the place to be to get access to Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Flesh and Blood at wholesale prices and other such things. But as far as it goes, that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all